Good morning, Belize and the world. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of Hosting the Morning, live from Studio 2 Wave 105.9, your most trusted name in information, education, and entertainment. Alfonso Noble, Joe Bradley. We're sitting in Studio 2, operating from the foothills of the Bell China Bridge right there in Belize City, Tuesday, the 29th day of April 2025. My brother, good morning.
Morning, Joe.
Television coverage provided by Wave Television. You can also find us using the Wave Radio Belize app, which you can download on your Apple and Android devices. Wave Radio and Wave TV is live every day on our Facebook page, Wave Radio and Wave TV. Find us, like the page, and tune in every day. Wave Radio and Wave TV is streaming on Twitch TV at Wave Radio BZ. It's Tuesday, the 29th day of April 2025. We'll take a look at the weather for today. The information is at 6 this morning. The general situation, fair and mostly dry conditions persists around the country. The 24 forecast for Belize and its coastal waters, sunny with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Only isolated showers will develop. The winds east at 5 to 15 knots. The sea state will be choppy, the wave height 3 to 5 feet. The outlook for Wednesday and Wednesday night is for similar weather conditions. The temperatures, the highest today along the coast 87 degrees, inland 93 degrees, in the hills 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The lows tonight along the coast 80 degrees, inland 70 degrees, in the hills 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The tides, a high tide will occur this morning at 23 minutes after 10, another high tide tonight at 15 minutes after midnight. A low tide will occur this evening at 58 minutes after 5, followed by a low tide tomorrow morning at 3 minutes after 5. The sun rose this morning at 27 minutes after 5 and will set this evening at 12 minutes after 6. The moon rose this morning at 51 minutes after 6 and will set this evening at 37 minutes after 8. We want to say thanks to forecaster Francisco Wellington and the National Meteorological Service of Belize for providing us with today's weather information. Our numbers are 2025360, 2025361. You can call us and join in the conversation this morning right after the short commercial break.
For fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th, Venice is having store-wide discounts on tools, paints, appliances, plumbing and electrical products, lights and fans, household items, and much, much more. Visit a Venice store near you to enjoy fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th, only at Venice. Quality and savings.
This Easter, experience the luxury of Sunset Curry. Take advantage of exclusive local rates and make unforgettable memories. WhatsApp us at 614-9857 or visit our website to book your stay today.
Welcome back to Tuesday's edition of Hosting the Morning, live from Studio 2 Wave 105.9, your most trusted name in information, education, and entertainment. Alfonso Noble, Joe Bradley, sitting in Studio 2, operating from the foothills of the Bell China Bridge right here in Belize City, Tuesday, the 29th day of April 2025. And we want to remind our listeners, our viewers, Belizeans, of the press conference. The United Democratic Party will be holding a press conference this morning at the Biltmore. It starts at 10 It will be broadcast live on Wave, and on the garden will carry it also. So again, stay tuned, and the press conference, and it will be dealing with national issues.
We got national issues.
A lot of that, a lot.
That
So,
we got. So where they going?
well, the teachers will be out tomorrow to decide what will be the next move now. And I heard the president encouraging teachers to come out. She said that there was a convention, and you heard what, over 1,900 teachers coming out. And she's asking that all the teachers come out and participate, because the union provides the platform on which people use to express their displeasure, and apparently there's a lot of displeasure with teachers and public officers alike. So it's on tomorrow, and I heard the president saying that they give ample notice because, well, kids have to go to school, and that day, well, there'll be no school, and parents will have to find babysitting services for the kids, or the usual thing, but there will be no classes. And apparently the ministry is too happy with the letter, but nevertheless the teachers will be meeting tomorrow, and they will decide what is the next course of action to do. Okay. Then Alfonso, I noticed also on the news that said it was sad where a fire apparently started from a bush fire, and an edgeable man, and apparently it was a well-liked person in Hattieville that burnt in the fire, and apparently they had out the fire already. The guy, the fellow was outside, but they didn't know that the man went back inside, and apparently the fire caught up again and burned the house down. And I saw a good friend of him talking, and he said, well, when he got the conscious that the guy burned, and it just shows. Sometime last week there was a fire, I think, in San Hill, right? And then now we have this fire. We had a big fire out there in San Pedro, and the lack of firefighting equipment. The guy last night in Hattieville was saying at least give him one water truck and have it by the police station, so that in the event of a fire, that the police could come and bring the water truck, and at least they could use that. Because apparently this fire started across the road, a bush fire, started across the road, went over, and so there is the need for firefighting equipment across this country. Even in some of the towns, we don't have adequate firefighting equipment. We don't have proper gears. And we saw that right there in San Pedro. And talking about San Pedro, you see there's another death of a tourist on a questionable thing, right? Because apparently he fell from a third floor, a Canadian. Yeah. And then the one of the items, the fact that they have a box, a package of high-grade weed, and apparently there are two custom officers that are being investigated as to this weed. Yeah. So what else, my brother?
That incident with a 63-year-old and that bushfire. The first thing that drew my attention is the amount of bush that is around that building. while as tragic, it's a very, very, very tragic incident because, as according to the person who Channel 7 spoke to, he said that the fire had been out and the gentleman was out around and whatever they control the fire, and then he went back into the building. But what to me what was notable is the amount of bush around that house. I mean, it is burnt now, but if it were that the bushfire managed to get out of control, to the point where they burned down this house, that means that that bush must have been very, very, very close to that building, and that may have, I'm certain that contributed to him burning. So I say that to say to those people who live in outlying areas, in bushy areas, to maintain a perimeter. Maintain a perimeter between their home and the bush, because invariably you'll have these bushfires, man-made or as a result of battles or spontaneous combustion or whatever it may be. There will be these bushfires, and if you don't insulate yourself, if you don't create this fire barrier between yourself and the bush, it will pose a threat to your house. So that needs to be very clear that people, and I guess most people do know that. There was another one of the gentlemen who was also the gentleman that was interviewed said he was his big pen was being threatened by a fire, and he was attending to that when he got the call that his friend's house was being threatened by fire as well. So I say all of that to say that people who live in the outlying areas need to maintain a fire pass, a fire break between their home and the bush. There are instances where people have lots and they just simply abandon these lots and leave them out there, and they never come back to, and the people who live in the area would have to be tending to it because of the same reason it poses these fire hazards, these potentially life-threatening, and in some instances causing actual death, like what happened over the weekend with this gentleman. We're in the heights of the dry season, and fire risks are all over the place. I mean, it happens. That's what happens. We live in Belize, and these fires happen. But you can mitigate certain things. If you have certain things that you want to protect, if you have property that you want to protect, you have to clear around it. You can't make bush grow around it and expect that if a fire happens, you will it will not burn. When you have this lot debris and what have you, it's perfect fuel for fires. So I just thought I might point that out, that keep a fire line or a fire break between your building or your property and the
bush.
The bush. And then for those people who have properties in populated areas, they have to maintain their property too, man. They have to chop the property. As it relates to the customs officers that may be implicated, that one is one that I've known. Well, I've known there have always been these talkings and rumors that personnel from customs are into this kind of operations, but it's never been proven, and it's something that is almost very difficult to prove until this incident where the person or the custom officer was going to go and pick it up and was alerted thereafter by Noko again because police step on it and what have you.
Yeah.
I don't know, but the things that people do to get money is amazing, interesting, and you're a public officer. You're supposed to be guarding against this
This
very
kind of
same,
thing, yeah.
and instead of guarding against it, you are creating it. I think Channel 7 pointed that this weed at like $800 per
Per
ounce.
I agree.
I have been around tongue for quite a bit. I've never heard of that price.
That price there, yeah.
So whatever it is, I said that may be will very well be like cocaine, man.
Yep.
If not something more. I've never heard of that price, but it's not unlikely. The high grade, I know people mix high grade with this one and that one, and they smoke them. Anyway, we're not getting into that. But it goes back to the Minister of New Growth. Remember, the marijuana trade is supposed to be one of the new industries that is
Yep.
implemented by the People's United Party, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't heard anything about it.
4 years, going for 5, nothing.
They shelf that boy.
Mm-hmm.
Not too much heat, apparently. Do it or not do it. But you cannot be indecisive about it. Leading on, they let on all of those people who are consumers of marijuana to think, yeah, boy, at some point I will be able to consume my drug or my herb in peace without the police harassing me and what have you. And then the churches began to agitate against it, and there were those social persons who think that it causes great social damage, who said, no, you can't do it and what have you. And then there were those who were saying, if you do implement the marijuana trade or the marijuana or legalize it, it will create a situation where this is done only for businesses. So the peddler out there would have been boxed out. So there were a whole lot of things. And the government simply cannot decide whether to do it or not to do it. So instead of creating any more problem, they just push it one side. One side. And
As usual.
we forget it.
Yeah.
We forget it. That was a piece of legislation that was already went through the House and went through the Senate. And all that needs is for it to be signed, you know.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
But because of the things that I have just mentioned, the three major things that I just mentioned, they said, no, we're not a fool with that. We're not a fool with that. So, that the way that we thing triggered in my mind when I was looking at the news, that the indecisive nature of the People's United Party as it relates to the marijuana thing has us where we are, where not fish, not fowl. We're not fish, we're not fowl, but there have to be something, man. It can't be just anything. And do it if you do it, not do it if you not do it. And I know the UDP had made significant strides in terms of allowing people to consume, but it was a, I would want to say, half-baked, incomplete piece of legislation, because the question is that you can have in your possession and consume 10 grams or less of marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
But the question about how you obtain it
How you get it?
is the other half that is incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
So that they were there with that. But still, 10 paces more than we were before, at least in the direction of trying to legitimize or legalize the use of cannabis. No? So that's the way we're there. There's the other issue of a man who was apparently killed by a pig.
Oh.
and
Yes.
people don't can't fathom it. It's kind of unbelievable because while pigs are known to bite people and that kind of thing, it doesn't they don't cause that
That,
level of
yeah.
injury. But you have to remember where and how the circumstances took place. By all accounts, this is a pig that is wild, feral, about, and wild pigs tend to grow tusks. So on the side of their teeth, their side teeth or their canine would protrude
Yeah.
out and go out. And this gentleman was apparently trying to chase this pig that is a nuisance in the village. And I don't understand how it is that the pig hasn't been killed already. I mean, if it's a problem pig, at some point you gather the villagers and say, you know what, this pig not a problem.
We kill her,
Whoever
yeah.
the owner and the owner is no longer alive, the pig have to go. Because if it create problem, then the pig have to go. And obviously it's a nuisance pig because the man was chasing the pig when it attacked, and it tusked with it tusk hit the man in an area that must have
Severed a vein.
severed an artery,
Yeah.
not a vein, an
Yeah.
artery.
Mhm.
Yeah, the human body, if you were to look at anatomy, has arteries, main arteries that feed the body. You touch one of them there, you will exsanguinate within a matter of minutes because you're the pump the blood. This is the main area where the blood just circulate over the body, and that is what would have happened to this gentleman, and he died shortly after being gored by this pig. Sad situation, but they kind of thing they like just bizarre. And obviously I have to extend condolences to the family members and what have you. Like the lady said, she's at a loss. She says the man was right there, right there. Just wow, one pig, just
lives
attack her
behind-
and kill her.
He leaves behind five children too.
Yes.
So it's
So
it's
that is sad, man. As it comes to the issue of the teachers, like you mentioned, there's a back and forth between, well, not necessarily a back and forth. Is it a back and forth? The teachers union, the BNTU, sent notice to the Ministry of Education to tell them that they will be having countrywide meetings on Wednesday. The Ministry of Education replies and said, no, no can't do that, no have to give you sufficient notice and what have you. The BNTU, it is a back and forth, but the BNTU then replies and said, we will have a meeting on Wednesday. And the meeting will discuss a way of how to react to government's unwillingness to raise their salaries, to give them what you call it, the increments, the yearly increments, as well as the issues of teachers not being paid and what have you. So the BNTU is doing this meeting, this countrywide meeting or countrywide consultation. Each branch president will have their members come together and they will discuss these issues, and they will see how it is they will proceed. Thereafter, they will notify the government on how they will work. But the government is saying, be mindful that you might very well lose
the pay
yeah.
for the day. Yeah.
So that we're there with that.
Let's join BEL.
728. It's not.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not PL. Yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Not yet. Somewhere 728.
Yeah. Son. Yeah. I said this.
Just join it. And I don't understand the question. Someone else. So yeah,
Okay.
The teachers will be gathering to decide what they want to do. The teachers will be gathering to decide how they will proceed from here, and they have issues. They have a lot of issues with government, and issues I believe that ought to have been addressed a long time ago. Issues that have been festering because the leadership of the union has decided to take this approach of let us negotiate. And then they sit and they negotiate and then they sweet talk, then they sweet talk, then they give you all kind of promise and then they walk out of a meeting hall and then they kissy, and then nothing get resolved.
And thing just continued.
And it just continues the first time, and as they say, they mean as the grass grow, the house starve, and the teachers who are not being paid are the ones who are suffering.
Because I think and there's some instances where the situation could be dealt with quite easily, because I think I heard the president saying that okay, just weekend she was getting calls from teachers who something as it relates to license and they weren't being paid. Mm-hmm. And these are matters that you say because somebody from the ministry messed up, and but these are certain things that could be solved quite easily. So if you're negotiating and you have and both parties are working right together, then you could call and say, listen, this is one thing, but apparently nothing. They just had a sweet talk.
So that's 7:30 now.
Yeah.
We'll take our BL break and we'll be right back.
Extravaganza is here with the most exciting deals of the month. Enjoy budget phones as low as $65, tablets starting at $149, and Chromebooks and laptops as low as $589. Or go big at home with our Samsung or TCL TVs plus speakers, headphones, monitors, printers, accessories, and so much more. Let the party, gaming, and fun be a never-ending vibe with a wide selection of JBL Auto Systems, fully backed up with a 1-year warranty, starting at only $99. But that's not all. You can also get yourself a Samsung Galaxy phone, tablet, buds, or smartwatch and save even more with a 1-year local warranty included. Cellular World has the tech that suits your needs. Visit any of our store countrywide or shop via our virtual store on Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp us at 615-5141. We can ship your purchases safely countrywide. Don't miss out on our exciting Easter deals and have an unforgettable adventure.
Evening, everybody. No one, not two, but 3 fan on, TV, and all the lights. Hey!
Small changes, like turning off lights and appliances when leaving the room, can make a big difference in your energy usage. Talk to your family about energy management today. Do a little, conserve a lot. Need help? The BEL 24/7 app has tools to get you on the right track. Download today and let's talk energy management.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, so the teachers have unresolved issues. I mean, some long-standing unresolved issues. In particular, that issue where they are not being paid for prolonged periods of time. That is unacceptable. And then the government comes and again in the story, oh no, we not get paid, we don't deposit the money. And then the leadership just backs off. The leadership just backs off, because we need to go to the table.
Yeah.
We can't go on warrior mode. Warrior mode not work. Warrior mode not work no more. That's another way for doing no more.
We gotta
But
negotiate.
But the government only understands warrior mode.
Yeah, that's true.
That are the only thing government understand. And it is compounded by the fact that they can take liberties with salaries that no one else can. in terms of just jumping up and saying, you know what, salary raise for everybody. All CEOs, salary raise.
Or salary cut for public officers, increment freeze for public officers. They could do that. That you know, and it's unfair, man. It's unfair. It's unfair. But like we've been saying, you know, much meetings how much time I've seen these union leaders coming out a meeting at the House of Culture. How much time, and then the same every time the meeting when you look, you see this one, they hug up that one and I take picture and they take picture. The lone picture taking and nothing comes out of the meeting.
Just story.
Yes.
And just get a story.
Yes. I mean, teachers, I know for a fact that some teachers were given teachers who work in the district, you get hardship allowance and that kind of thing. Not even that, then they give them, you know. And that's why you see the other day you had a problem with a school there. It was Mo Tomorrow, I think, where they had one teacher, one principal taking care of 40 students in eight different classes, you know. One teacher. Why? Because of the problem with getting out to the school, and then the teacher, the person's not being paid the hardship allowance to help, to supplement her income so that she could afford to pay for go. Right? And I don't even know if that situation was solved. Because, you know, like we hear one story and then all of a sudden they just dead. But these are the kind of thing. I remember somebody from Monkey River was telling me that, listen to me, the students at Monkey River no go to school. There's no classes in school. And I said, but why? He said, because the teachers, they know they get paid. And I said, but no man, he said, no man, my wife, they teach. That's why I tell you. I am telling you, my wife is a teacher in Monkey River. And the kids are not going to school because the teachers are not being paid. I said, what? This is the kind of thing where they happen. This is the kind of thing where they happen. And like nobody cares. Nobody cares, and if with this government, if you know take some action, nothing happen, you know.
No, sir.
Because I remember just around the Christmas time, it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Minister Fonseca who was then the Minister of Education, said that by the 28th, the teachers will be getting their pay. Everything will be paid. And then you start here, that because of digitalization and the whole up there with the management and a whole lot of craziness, you know. And so we are right back at square one. Right back at square one. And with this government, you have to get out. You have to get out on the streets. You have to make them understand that, listen to me, we're not playing no games. We need we iron. When uno want uno iron, uno just say we want iron and uno get on. We iron. And so now the teachers said, well, here we are Wednesday. Tomorrow will be the day. Tomorrow will be the day. And we're going out there, despite the fact that the ministry is saying, well, no, we can't do that. We have to give you ample notice. We have for this. We have for that. Man, listen to me. Under the UDP, they write the letter and they gone. Now, they want to tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that. The teachers, they do that. When the teachers, they give ample notice and then just going to meeting. So tomorrow, there'll be no classes because the teachers will have their meetings all across the country. But
you go say what they want.
This,
They go say what- but it's amazing. It's amazing how tame the BNTU has become over the past 4 years.
Why
When I
not
tell you
true?
tame.
Yes. Yes.
The last we heard about the BNTU in terms of this warrior mode was when Ms. Elena, that is still the president, and they had the demonstrations 2020 after the elections when they were walked on Albert Street and that kind of thing. After that presidency change and nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
No, we're not getting out of our mode. We have to
No.
negotiate. Internationally now, the new thing now is that the unions negotiate with government, and they get a man to negotiate with this
with this government.
Nothing happen. You negotiate, you can't negotiate with this government. You have to make them understand this the way we want, and this is how we forget because we deserve it. And the teachers, they know they are saying not where they not deserve. The teachers, they know they are saying not where they not deserve. You know much people you got right now where they on government payroll when they even go to work? They don't even go to work. But every payday they get paid.
Oh.
Every payday they get paid. And they hold some high position too, you know. And I see the whole thing will cause this whole nonsense with this government and teachers and so. It's because when this government won in 2020, when PUP won in 2020, they changed all the top brass then at the Ministry of Education, you know. They bring in one family member. And I would have thought that
family members.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Family members.
They're bringing a whole lot of family members, right? We don't know nothing. We can't handle the candle.
They got the ministry in such a terrible state now.
Yes. When under the UDP, man, I tell you, the Honorable Patrick Faber, Minister of Education, had the place there and him in the kick. Him in the kick up. All of a sudden, like nothing. You sit down out there, you're there wrong. You see a lot of kids, you look at night school age kids up on the street. You wonder that where they have what kind of program there is where the government is doing for attract kids. Like we said, and it was the PUP Minister of State, the Ministry of Finance, we say 40% of the kids there after COVID high school never gone back to high school. And you know, here no kind of program that they put in place to attract and get these kids back in a school. Nothing. You see, Fonso, right now that what today makes, well, it's Thursday, so it will be 2 weeks since they had the hijacking. You hear anything? It's tomorrow will make the first week in the new financial year. You hear anything about the budget presentation? Is there anything done to with the UD with the opposition as it relates to the house? We have any house meeting for the last 6-7 weeks? We got tomorrow makes 7 weeks since election. We have any house meeting? No budget, no house meeting. Nothing, you know, here nothing. And then you would believe that one of the most important thing at the country, that we run the finances of the country. And you need the budget. You need a budget. So I don't know, when you read the budget, you're going to get permission for use money out of the budget. Where you don't use before you even have a budget. I remember under the UDP and Mr. Barrow, the PUP actually carried him on a court because he gonna get approval for some spending after the money was spent, and the whole reason was because of the importance of the situation. He gonna get it. Now they want, so then they do the same thing. So
worse.
Yes, without
worse
a budget.
Because let me explain. They accuse Mr. Barrow about spending money with on-program spending and then going to the House to seek approval retroactively thereafter. But these weren't instances where it was a continuous thing. It was now and again when you had emergencies, for example, when you had like a hurricane,
Or a flood.
when you have a flood, and you have to deploy resources to these areas, then you seek approval afterwards, after the fact. And it wasn't a partner day after day after day after day after day after day after day. Now we a month, 6 weeks in, and it just keeps going. We just keep going. Where the expenditure that is taking place now is completely illegal. The expenditure that began from in March after the elections is illegal. There is no budget in place. The budget should have been read in March. That is what it is. But you continue and you continue and you continue. So this is not a situation like where you have unforeseen expenses, you spend your money and then you seek approval thereafter. This is not that. This time they knew that this was gonna be taking place. They know that the budget is to be read in March. They know that, so they fully well they are breaking the law, knowing fully well that this ought not to be done.
Expenditures are
But
being
there
made.
is no bucking of bucking them. There is no telling them that you can't do this, and they're not care.
And Fonso, I listen to the Prime Minister tell us that, oh well, the budget is late because of election. Man, listen to me. Even before the election, this PUP knew that they may win. Because they tell you, oh, you may be a hold, you may be a blow, 31. So they knew they would have won the election. They know. Man, it would have had to be a miracle. It would have had to be a miracle for the UDP win. So, all right, the election, as a responsible government, the budget is due. The budget presentation is in March. Work on the budget too. Because basically your budget is prepared by the public officers. That the public officers prepare the budget, and then if the budget goes to cabinet, and then they look on it, and then they'll cutting and what. But that budget, they don't tell me no stupidness that because of election we couldn't present the budget. Because the budget could have been presented on time.
And still can't.
And so
they still can't present the budget. So the election story that's something else.
No play, yeah.
They still cannot present the budget. What is it that election did that caused them not to present the budget then?
No, they win.
What was it that is extraordinary in the election that caused them not to be able to present it? Because that is their story. And even before the elections, the budget was supposed to have been read before the elections.
Yes.
The budget was supposed to have been read before the elections. That is the time when it is due. So what is it that happened in the elections that caused you not to read it? What is it after the elections that is causing you not to read it even now? And they continue on that. And like Roy said, they may read it in May.
They may read it in May.
They may read it in May. So there is no guarantee that the budget will be read.
But like we are saying, the election and no excuse that the budget, no excuse why the budget is not presented. The budget should have been presented because basically the budget, the budget most of the work on the budget is completed by December. Most of the work for the budget is completed by December. The only if you put it in a year.
Somebody say everything they did is calculated. They want to chance the people. Because they know Belizeans don't want to fight.
That's
Remember,
true.
they promised teachers a 20% salary increase, and they have they plan Belize 2.0, and 2.0 get rid of 20%.
They not got it in.
The 2.0 erased 20%. Check it out. They couldn't even give the teachers the ordinary increment where they're due. They never get in that. And we have the situation where the CEOs get one massive increment, but the teachers can't get.
When they promise, and you see, and that's why when you listen to the people, you can't believe them. No? You can't believe them. Cause then, they plan 201. Now, there was continuation of the plan. So,
If that continuation of plan,
So
why not add the
20%? Is there what happened to the where by now we should have been at the last 20% of the PAYE tax. That nothing happened with that. They increase the allowance, but that should have PAYE after 5 years should have been gone. In nothing. I remember Goodbye, and it was the same Francis Fonseca again. I remember seeing him by a whole lot of fancy this and lot of chart and 20% increase for teachers. But a lot of thing. Remember that good. What happened to the 20% in the 2005? 2.2. There were 2.2 now, no? Or don't you call that 2.5? Right? What happened to the 20%, my brother? Because this is our continuation of the plan Belize. So we am to the 20% for the teachers.
And then they have the leaderships of those unions wrap right up. Wrap right up. And then when you tell them, they want to sue. They want to sue. You can't sit there and tell me that you don't want to go on warrior mode. You have to stay on warrior mode with this crowd.
Yeah, man.
This crowd no care. This crowd will take the last way you got for embellish themselves. They will take the last that you have for embellish themselves. That is who they are. And you don't want to go on warrior mode today? All right then.
You don't get nothing.
All right, you
don't get nothing.
could not want to go on warrior mode. The truth of the matter is they got teachers who know them.
Yeah.
Who know the People's United Party, and they want to go on warrior mode because they wanted the money. See, it's easy to tell hungry belly to keep heart, you know. There are people where they got one salary, where they collect their salary to time, could tell the one when they get paid, man, hold on, man, make go negotiate, man, we negotiate. Make we negotiate.
We're going to meet next week.
They could tell them that. But the person who's on the receiving end, when they pick the ball because they're hungry, you can't tell them nothing. What you are tell your picnic? What you are tell your picnic?
Nothing.
When they're hungry. You can't tell them that my president they say no go on warrior mode.
Yeah, my president say next week when next week we are going negotiation. No, the picnic are hungry. They're hungry. They want to continue ball. But to say that how this government try keep people, you know. And I tell us something now, like this government get worse now, you know. With this election results, they get worse. They no care. They get arrogant. The Johnny say, oh, well, you must this, and I tell me ministers then that boss this no me all of it.
What is amazing about this situation, Joe, is you see how the unions then they get hype up. Remember, this time our government was 6 weeks in, you know. This time our new government. This is a brand new government. They don't even say 100 days yet. And then don't manage to upset the unions to the point where part then go and then look for go past strike. You know that? You know what kind of thing that?
Yeah.
You know the kind of the implications that has? That you trick the electorate.
Yep.
You trick the unions. You trick everybody into thinking that you are the better alternative when they're far from the truth, my friend.
Well, Fonso, I mean, and they can't carry that word to say they trick. You trick them. They trick people because they promised 20% salary increase to teachers in their manifesto, in the plan release. They gone and they take that out. So the teachers here, 20%, teachers don't even get increment. A lot of teachers don't even get the hardship allowance, lot of thing. But so the teachers will be out there on tomorrow. Teachers going to have their meeting tomorrow, and then they will decide what they will do. What they gonna do? It's time.
Warrior mode, man. They have to go up on warrior mode. I tell you, have to go up on my warrior mode. Pan the score there, cause the score no key. They want to take the last way you got for themselves. This is who the PUP is. We've been telling people this for a long time. We the telling you hardship they come with the new PUP government, you know. And that's because we know the look for electricity rates yet. We know the look for the taxes that are coming. We know the look like pension we don't have to pay. We know the look for trade licenses, the NHI tax. We don't look for them yet, you know.
Garbage taxes.
We don't look for them yet, you know.
And election is over because everything done ready for that trade license in the villages. That you know,
already passed.
That already
the legislation passed. That passed. That also implement.
Johnny say we are hold back on it because the opposition will use it for politics. Use it for politics. Hold on. They will implement that, you know. They want to implement that. So all these store, all these shop there. You know, in the village you got some people that are buying a case of milk and they don't know that the food inventory they are nothing big, you know, fun so. Food inventory they are nothing big. There's some small thingy. They probably open a window and they got two counter in a part of the house and they sell for convenience. And all that don't have to pay, you know. All of them want for pay. But the Prime Minister said, no, we don't implement that yet. We will wait till after the election because if we implement it now, the opposition want use it for politics. They politicize this thing. So boom. Here they come. They don't even go a house meeting yet, you know. 6 weeks. They don't even go a meeting at the house where we start the new government yet, you know, Fonso. The budget no read yet, you know. And the budget done late. The budget is late. Right? No read it. But why? Nothing, here the Prime Minister come out and say, well, okay, well, give one state of the nation when you present the budget. It may be read in May.
It's a new government when it faces major challenges. You mean to tell me that they never prepare? You mean to tell me that they never know? But then again, they knew, because Johnny may give us the hint when they tell us the next administration will be a challenging one. Well, it is a challenging one, but it start with the unions. Anyway, it's 8 o'clock. We need to take our Grace coffee break. We'll take our Grace coffee break and we'll be right back.
Grace, the name you can trust. Okay.
Fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th. Venice is having store-wide discounts on tools, paints, appliances, plumbing and electrical products, lights and fans, household items, and much, much more. Visit a Venice store near you to enjoy fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th. Only at Venice. Quality and savings.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Iowa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Iowa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Iowa, and for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Iowa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Iowa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
This Easter, experience the luxury of Sunset Curry. Take advantage of exclusive local rates and make unforgettable memories. WhatsApp us at 614-9857 or visit our website to book your stay today.
Evening, everybody. No one, no two, but 3 fan, TV, and all the lights. Hey!
Small changes, like turning off lights and appliances when leaving the room, can make a big difference in your energy usage. Talk to your family about energy management today. Do a little, conserve a lot. Need help? The BEL 24/7 app has tools to get you on the right track. Download today and let's talk energy management.
Welcome back to Tuesday's edition of First Thing in the Morning, live from Studio 2 Wave 105.9. Your most trusted name in information, education, and entertainment. Alfonso Noble, Joe Bradley. We're sitting in Studio 2, operating from the foothills of the Bell China Bridge right here in Belize City. It's Tuesday, the 29th day of April, 2025. Again, we want to remind you that at 10 o'clock, we'll be having a press conference. The UDP will be having a press conference at the Biltmore, and we'll be carrying it live on Wave 105. Yeah.
Somebody say you must remember that PUP never had no plan from the beginning. No, they're not lying.
Well, people wanted a change, you know. Well, we got the change. It's rough. I tell you, it's rough. It's rough all around. It's rough.
And I say, when teachers are affected in this manner, it has ripple effects, you know. In term, because they then are mothers and fathers to lot of children out there. We go home. We come from home with empty belly. We come from home without pencil, without ruler, without eraser, without sharpener. Teachers have to bear that, you know.
Yeah.
Carl,
Good morning. You're live.
Yes. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Fonso.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. I have a question for both of you gentlemen. In relation to the reading of the national budget, has there been any official release and or communication from the government as to why the reading of the budget has been delayed?
Nope.
Zero.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
So people are kind of left to speculate as to what that reason or those reasons are.
Mm-hmm.
From where I sit, gentlemen, I believe that it's an indication and an indicator that we're in very, very bad financial trouble. And this is on two fronts, gents. In the first instance, the debt, the EBP, the national debt, is unsustainable. Why am I saying this? I am saying this because Belize continues to borrow, and we continue to borrow to pay our debts. So it's not necessarily borrowing to invest in anything that would yield a meaningful return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
We know, gents, that generally when you borrow, Joe,
Yep.
and when you borrow, either for fix your house or sometimes for open a business.
Mm-hmm. Capital investment.
Capital investment,
It's
Joe,
not,
both of them.
yeah, because you got two kind of expenditure. You got revenue expenditure, and that's expenditure where that's to generate where your business or your regular expense. You got capital expenditures where that's for investment.
Right. So Joe, so that's the first. I think the first. Actually, it's here really. It's really to borrow to refinance, Joe. That's all it is, you know, Joe. The debt is unsustainable. One of the greatest secrets of the government of Belize is what is the national debt. And again, gents, I want to ask, you know, Mr. Joe and Mr. Afonso, you guys are media people. Do you gents know what the national debt is, one, and two? Where can we get information? I don't understand where the national debt is.
There is no available information. You have to be able to compile it by yourself.
Yep.
There is no information on the national debt.
And well, two things there, Chance, you know, we got a Freedom of Information Act.
Oh well, that like you had brought that up the last time, Mr. Maivit, and I explained to you that we have tried to use Good at Avenue, and there has never been any response to that. And the truth of the matter is, no consequence to not responding. So,
And that is true. I think that should be rechristened the Freedom from Information Act. You're not going to get any information out of the government. And so all of this issue about transparency and accountability is just political rhetoric. But back to the issue of the national debt. One gentleman that I have been associated with is doing a PhD at a university in Belgium. Doing a PhD on quote-unquote the blue band. And what he has said is that as we know, the blue band came into effect in 2021. It was the refinancing of the government debt. Came into effect in 2021. By the end of 2023, according to this gentleman, the national debt was near to where it was in 2021.
but I don't think that it is near. I think it is more
Well, now it is more, gents, but
in 2023. We see what you're saying.
It is more because one of the dangers that we have is when people don't have information, they could be nodding off to sleep. I was at a forum, call it the Blue One Forum, let us say about a month ago. There's a ministry, not the Blue One, there's a ministry of the Blue Economy. And at that forum, an official basically said that the debt to GDP ratio was about 60%. That is not so. The debt to GDP ratio is probably near to 1-to-1, or it's in excess of 1-to-1. And what does this mean? This means that if you have this humongous debt, and it's unsustainable for two reasons. One, there is no light at the end of the tunnel to say, you know what, one, we will stop borrowing recklessly, and two, whatever we borrow will be invested in activities that will yield a meaningful return on investment. My colleague Joe knows. Joe is a finance man. Joe knows that when you borrow, there's the issue of a return on investment, and nobody is basically saying, well, since we got the blue band, and it was a reprieve, what is it that this borrowing is actually doing? What is it doing, Jess? I looked at, maybe a couple of weeks ago, at the performance of the Belize economy. And actually, when you look at it, Belize was growing at the rate, I believe, at about 6% of GDP for that one particular year that I looked at. I think it was 2023, 2024. And it was doing well relative to the Caribbean, quote unquote. But that performance was essentially just based on activities that are associated with chasing the debt. You see, and so you have to ask yourself, at what point do we get, and I go back to the point that was made by Fonso, at what point do we get a sense that there's a purposeful strategy behind the borrowing, because we are all left in debt? Well, what is it, gents? Joe, you especially know that I spent 27 years at Fisheries, And I will tell you, Joe, that let us say 15, 20 years ago, let us say 15 years ago, the sector that I was dealing with, Joe, fisheries and aquaculture, at one point, Joe, aquaculture was bringing in $120 million in terms of foreign exchange, Joe. You understand? $120 million. At the time, Joe, what we refer to as the traditional fishery was bringing in 25 million dollars. That was what was being generated in terms of foreign exchange. Now, Joe, fisheries has not grown, Joe, one, and aquaculture has virtually collapsed. There is very, very little activity in terms of aquaculture. Why am I saying this, Joe? I am saying this because as a country, we need to step back and understand that the rhetoric that got the current government re-elected was just empty rhetoric. It has very little to do with the reality of the situation, and it has very little to do with the conditions of people. You know what I see as one of the greatest tragedies? We still live in a democracy, and it's a function of how you want to classify that democracy. But one of the things that has not left us is that people have choices. And unfortunately, our people has made the choice of going with the same old party that has worsened our situation. That is what I find very, very egregious and troublesome. People are living the consequences of what has been happening. I want to go to a point I believe that was made a little earlier, that when you look at, for example, salaries and benefits, the CEOs and the ministers have accorded unto themselves very, very handsome and lucrative raises, and those raises are not only in relation to salaries. But Junior, you're working at the service and you get telephone allowance, you get housing allowance, you get free fuel order. As far as I can recall, Joe, I believe that the PM's allowances in terms of fuel, I think amounts to about $4,000 a month.
His vehicle allowance. His vehicle allowance is
the vehicle allowance, Joe.
Is $4,000 a month. It was increased from 12 to 4,000.
Yes, Joe. Joe, you know how much public officer makes $48,000 a year, Joe?
Man.
You know, salary.
When you look on the increase where the cab sec got a few weeks ago, his $96,000. That's $8,000 per week. You know how much public officers' salary that?
Joe, it's unconscionable, Joe.
But earlier you mentioned we talk about loans, and when you're borrowing, you borrow and you should see improvements. But
yes,
we the borrow and we not see no improvement in the way life of living for Belizeans. I mean, I was surprised. I laughed the other day, and it caught my attention the other day. I was driving down the coming from home down to Tong here, right? And you notice they are doing the road, right? You know who is financing that portion of the road? Taiwan.
Okay. Is it a loan, Joe? Is it a grant?
Well, probably a grant. So Taiwan is financing capital expenditures for us. Boy, it's rough. It's rough.
Joe. Joe, my opinion as to why the budget has not been raised. Remember that a certain minister, everybody then call minister now, a certain minister of state has been brought back into the fold, and I guess across the political spectrum. This gentleman is highly respected in terms of issues relating to finances. But when you do a budget, Joe, it's about projections. It's about what it is that you're looking at in terms of income and what it is that you're looking at in terms of expenditures. And so, it's not a coming into, I don't know if you guys were still earlier.
You're still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. what you're looking at, Joe, now, Joe, at the end of the day, I don't know if it is that the projection was a reality check, and the projection in terms of revenue and income in relation to the government health is not viable. I don't know. But as I said, there's nothing that would put me in a position where I can surmise or conclude that the government's position is one that is viable. There's no such thing. And I believe that the media and the social partners need to call out the government. They need to call out the Prime Minister to be accountable. We need to know what it is that is happening with the finances of the government.
Mr. Maivit, you're getting a little bit muffled, though. I don't know.
This call, where to see this call will go up. I think to mess it up. Yeah, all right. Yeah,
that better. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was
Thanks.
saying that the condition, the financial circumstances of the government, Joe, is nothing to write home about. We do know, Joe, that when you look at it in terms of sector, I was talking about aquaculture and fisheries a little while ago. If you go to the Statistical Institute of Belize's info, Joe, you will find out that the productive sector has not been doing good at all.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at agriculture, when you look at sugarcane, for example, when you look at citrus, in fact, gents, when the PUP first came into power in 2020, one of the things that they did that I was very, very much concerned about was the floodgates were open and anybody who had cattle could have run it over the border, Joe and Fonso. And a lot of it, I believe, went through the irregular route. No duty, no taxes, no nothing. When the government got settled in, they basically said, you know what, we will be exporting consistently beef to Mexico. That was one of the deals. The last take that I got is that the herds are depleted. There is no or very little exportation of beef cattle into Mexico or anywhere else. And so to me, when you look at that, two things are happening. One of the national issues that we look at is food security, food and nutritional security. When you take a stance that there's nobody keeping check of what goes out, especially in terms of food items, what you're doing to the country is you're kind of undermining the food and nutritional security. We know, Joe, me and you know, Francois, you also know that one of the businesses in Belize was based on the production of meat. And it was a PUP business. And you know what happened to that business?
Closed. One of the first to close.
Just that it closed down.
One of the first. But what we're also not paying attention to, Mr. Maivit, is this free-for-all exportation of cattle, if you will, to Mexico and Guatemala, what it is causing to our local market in terms of prices.
Yeah.
It has driven the price of beef through the roof, where ordinary cuts of meat that you would ordinarily get was chewing beef that $8 and $9 you would pay a pound for them,
So
sometimes it reaches all the way around $11.
Yeah.
How on God's green earth can the ordinary man or woman be able to afford that now, sir?
Well, Fonso, that's a good point, because I can recall when that conversation was very, very relevant. At the time, the gentleman the business that we spoke of, one of the operators basically said that he spoke to the Mennonites. Well, maybe it's not good to. Anyway, he spoke to the gentlemen who were, by and large, exporting beef cattle to Mexico. And the gentleman basically said to him, you either pay the price or we're exporting to Mexico.
Yep.
And so this is, no, this brings in its way the need for constructive policy to protect local industries and local businesses. I believe that the response of the PM when this was brought to bear, that a number of local businesses are closing down, his response is change happens. I guess consequently it's just too bad that the conditions have migrated to where you can't anymore remain viable. That is unconstructive, it is egregious, and it's an indicator that the business environment, especially for small and traditional producers, is not one that they can continue to operate in. You see, one of the things, and I'll get off in a minute, one of the things that I really feel we need to examine carefully is where we allow foreign direct investment in, and we are not getting or bang for the buck.
Yeah, or value for money, right?
You know, one of the issues that that used to go with it, I don't hear it anymore, is 1 out of 4 jobs is
In the tourism industry.
Tourism. And I'm saying, but if that is so, then it's a statement that in and of itself is very troublesome. Because over the last 20 years, this 1 in 4 dollar that is generated, it's not doing anything for the circumstances of these people. And I want to make the point that a lot of the foreign-owned business, as we know, the profits are repatriated, 1, or 2, the transaction never reaches the shores of Belize.
Yep.
People have their foreign bank account, and so when a flight is booked in, or business is being generated to pay for, let us say, a room here in Belize, that account is being serviced in the United States.
Paid for before, yeah?
Yes, it doesn't. The transaction doesn't even, in terms of money, doesn't even happen here. We see the tourists, but we don't see the revenues. And so this has to be fixed. There are a number of things that is being fixed, Joe Afonso. And we obviously they're on the same side that Einstein said, you can't be doing the same thing and expect a different result. You can't be putting the pupils in office. You can't be putting them in office and expect that things will be different. It will not be so. And so my appeal this morning is to ask our people to wake up. The teachers are getting ready to basically do what they do, and I guess the unions generally. Joe Afonso, we have been talking about this before election,
Yes, sir.
Yes, we were.
Yes,
we were
sir.
saying that there's a storm coming.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
There's a puppy storm coming.
Yes. And to add in, so do you remember about, let me just say this, coming back to this cattle, the exportation of cattle, right? Towards almost the end of the last administration, what they did, they exempted cattle farmers from the payment of business tax for 2 years.
Yes, sure.
Because you remember there was a problem whereby Guatemala wanted the cattle.
But what is it? What is it? You said these things have to be done with a purpose. Why would you exempt them from these things when the return to the government or the return to the country is very minimal, is non-existent?
Yeah.
This is just assisting people like Abelardo Mai and the Prime Minister, I believe, who is in cattle.
Yes, sir.
That is what is happening. Just giving themselves tax breaks.
Yes, sir.
There is no economic benefit to the country in doing that.
Yep. No return to the country.
And it is putting one licking at the tell pan the price of beef going through the roof. When you go to the butcher and you ask them for cuts of meat, and I do that. I go buy my own meat and so. And when I do that, I say, when do they pay $48 for 1 2 pound of beef? You say to yourself, the weight there. hell they happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I said, the problems are many and the solutions are there, but the horse is right next to the creek,
Yeah. Yeah.
People
Well,
chooses to drink that would rescue poor
Sorry.
people, poor people, and what I would say is the middle of the middle working class. I am hoping that, you see, the last time the union gone up against this current government, they end up with look bad. I
yep.
think it was in 2020,
2020, right after the elections.
right after the election. Basically, the cabinet basically said that they don't want this, and the union basically went to demonstrate, and that could be that pretty quickly. So I am hoping that the unions are seriously set. I will go more because this call is coming in again and I learn business standards. So have a good one, Jen. Carry on the good work.
Yes, man. Thanks. And you too have a good day.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, but also if you the borrow, and you the invest, you're supposed to see improvements.
You would think, right?
Yes, that's the way you expect.
You would think.
You see improvements in the lives of Belizeans, but you the borrow. And like Mr. Maivit say, nobody could tell you, nobody, not even the government, where can you get the information as what is our foreign debt? What is our domestic debt? Because you put the two of them together, then they need the billions. And
What he also pointed out is that at this point, no, in 2023, I think he said that the debt was close to, if not more, than what it was before the renegotiated blue bond.
Yep.
And if that is the case, and I'm certain that is the case, the longer we go, the higher the foreign debt, and we would have been in a worse place off than we were before the 2020 elections, because the blue bond has now basically mortgaged the sea, and the blue bond comes with certain conditions. And you know what's sad? I tried to get a copy of what these conditions are that we have to meet, and have been completely unable to get a response from people managing the blue bond, because they don't have to give no information. And it would be interesting to know how the two are marrying one another in terms of what it is that the government is doing and what it is that is expected of them to do. Case in point is the Cayo Rosario situation. Under the blue bond, things that are happening at Cayo Rosario should never be happening. Should never be happening. And I am not saying that what is happening at Cayo Rosario is illegal, because these people have all their permits. But I'm saying that the government is facilitating things that ought not to be facilitated if you were to look at what the conditions of the blue bond are. Simple as that. And then they say that people are emotional and what have you about it. Boy, I don't know, boy. We're in our bad place. That's all I know.
But like I say, we keep saying, if you're the borrower, you're supposed to see improvement.
Simple.
But if you're borrowing for revenue expenditure, you won't see any improvement, because that is to pay for day-to-day expenses. Carla, good morning. If you're borrowing for revenue expenditure, the daily expenditures, you own seat. Because basically,
Good morning. Hello.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Alfonso. And
Yes, Delroy. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I heard Brother Maivit raising a very important point there, or a string of very important points. Well, first of all, he asked the question whether there was any official reason given for the inordinate delay of the budget. And well, if we can refer to Briseño's ramblings to the media as an official response, then you could draw from that the elections are to be blamed and the public officers are to be blamed. We have read on the show already what his response was verbatim. I don't know if I want to burden you with that again, but what you would draw from what he was saying to the media, but again, I don't know if that can be characterized as an official response. It is so incoherent, and it is just ramblings. He was basically saying, if I might read a little part of it, let me burden you back again with a little portion of it, Alfonso, if you don't mind.
Yes, man.
And let me see whether Maivit can make head or tail from it, because I can't, and you certainly have not been able to either. He said, budget, I think we'll have it read by May. I think we'll have it read for May. It was pretty much finished, but with the different changes, and we still have some pieces to finish up. But when election came, pretty much it never dawned on not on me, never dawned on my now being Prime Minister to see it's almost the entire government runs the election. So many of them, speaking about the public officers, so many of them were not available to do the work. So now we are finishing that off and making the adjustment in the ministries. On Tuesday, we are going to make a presentation to Cabinet on how the overall look, and we'll have everything ready probably the second week of May, simply because the first week of May is a short week. So those were his comments to the media many weeks ago, shortly after the general election.
And sir, you said you didn't want to burden us, and you did.
Yes, I did. I apologize.
Oh boy, it makes what he has said makes absolutely no sense. So explain to me, if it just about complete before the elections, how is it that you have to take 2 more months to get it done? How is that? You have
don't know.
Things to fill? Things to
well, I don't know. I don't know. Such an explanation can only come from the twisted mind of the senior.
That's an lie, boy.
So why maybe Brother Maivit, having heard the verbatim the transcript of what the Prime Minister said was the delay for the budget, maybe Brother Maivit could call back at some point and tell us if he can make any head or tail of it, because I can't, and I know you certainly can't, Alfonso.
But that's why in my reply to him, I said that there has been no official report, because that I can't.
No official.
I don't know where he said it. Where the try say. I don't think he
himself know. I don't think he himself know what the try say.
You're right.
And so what the former Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Dean Barrow, had said about Briseño when he opens his mouth, Joe?
He is not a foolish man. He only says foolish things.
Well, you really have to take bad thing make laugh,
Serious thing.
If we might quickly get over the laughing and serious up about this matter, this is indeed a dire situation that we're in, that the government, the Prime Minister, well after the general elections, which they and almost everybody knew they were going to win, still cannot come up with a budget when the budget was supposed to have been read in March, debated about 10 days later in the House of Representatives and then the Senate, and then passed into law with the signature of the Governor General to take effect on the 1st of April. What date is today?
Today is the 29th day of April 2025. The
Right, so you could say
budget is 29 days late.
Yeah, so you could say April is as good as done, and
Yep.
you could say we are virtually at the beginning of May now. So the Prime Minister is telling, I know he's already blaming Labour Day too, he was already blaming Labour Day too.
Yeah, short
Because he
week.
said,
Short week.
yeah, he ended by even blame. Yeah. So he blamed the election we done gone, and then he started to blame Labour Day from almost a month ago, right? Because he said that and we'll have everything, this is how he ended, and we'll have everything, sorry to burden you some more, Alfonso, and we'll have everything ready probably the second week of May, simply because the first week of May is a short week. But you notice it throwing the word probably there.
Yeah, probably. So
right?
we may
That
well
is
be
the
looking
probably.
at June.
But as somebody had said, even if it is read in May, it certainly can't go into effect until sometime in June, because you normally need about 3 weeks or so, at least, between the reading of the budget and the actually going into effect, right?
Because
to start with, that's right. Because to start with, you normally have about 10 days at least between the reading of the budget and the actual debate of the budget, which normally lasts about 2 days or 3. Under this administration, I think they pushed it to 3. And then remember, it has to go to the Senate the following week. And then when it is passed through the Senate, then it goes to the Governor General for her signature so that it can go into effect. And so there is a period of time required between then and when it actually goes into effect as well. So much for any explanation as to why the budget is so inordinately delayed. Brother Maivit, maybe you could tell us if you can make any sense of the Prime Minister's explanation. But Brother Maivit went on to something very important. Regardless of what Bresenio said or did not say, he believes, Brother Maivit, that the real reason for the delay, as we have been speculating as well, is because there are these major commitments that the government will have to make, including loan payments. And so they don't know where all that money will come from. And one of the things Brother Maivit was talking about was the national debt. I want to go on to say that what is important is not only what the overall national debt is, particularly the external debt, but also what portion of it becomes mature during this period of time, during this 5 years that we have just given the Bresenio government as their second term. And therein lies a worrying thing, Alfonso and Joe, because I went back and I checked some of the early loans that this administration borrowed shortly after they came into office. Yes, there would have been, when any government take over office, there have to be 1 or 2 loans left over from the last administration that they will have to service. No? That is a given, because we inherited from them and they inherit from us. But when we inherit from them, there are the kind of terms and loans that we inherit from them as opposed to when they inherit from us, right? But I went back and checked some of the early loans in the term of the PUP, the first term of the PUP, this PUP, which started in November 2020. And I found that generally when you're borrowing from those international financial agencies, what they call the IFIs, like the IDB and CDB and so, they normally give you a grace period of around 5 years, right? But I noticed that there were some loans that have been borrowed under this administration shortly after they came in that have maturity periods as short as 3 years, You're hearing me, Joe and Alfonso? Have maturity periods as short. There's one there. I checked one which was for 48 months, and one which was for 3 years.
And
of
this is not
course,
grace period, this is a maturity.
yeah, well, this is grace period. I think isn't it pretty much the same?
No. Grace period is the period that you don't have to pay
the
any principal.
You pay the interest.
You pay just the interest. And then then after the 3 years or 5 years or whatever grace period you're given, then you pay interest and principal. But if you're
Okay.
telling me that the maturity period is 3 years, that means that as the loan becomes due, you have to pay interest and principal. So it comes to an end in a shorter space of time, but the payments are also bigger,
Bigger, yeah.
far bigger.
Okay, let me clarify that then. We have nothing to blame them for. I don't want to pile on more on them that they deserve. I don't have to pile on more on them that they deserve.
Yes.
So I use the wrong term. Bear in mind that neither me nor you, the economists, we just use with common sense here.
Right.
We are not financial gurus like the one that said, the one who is the Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, who said, you know, owe it until you have to pay back.
Yeah.
We are not financial gurus. We are not financial gurus like them, but we have common sense. But I guess I used the wrong term, Alphonse. So I didn't mean maturity period. I think I meant grace period.
Okay.
Because indeed, there are some of them that have a grace period of 66 months, which would be what, 5 years and a half?
Years, 5.5 years.
And in the case of those, because as you know, as they got in, they start the borrowing, you know.
Oh yes.
They never waste no time.
Oh yes.
They had one first business session, one first business meeting where they may pass one good governance motion. And after that, the next meeting after that, the money motion started, the borrowing started, the very next meeting. And so there are some of these, even the ones that have a grace period, we use the right term, not maturity period, that have a grace period of 66 months, which would be 5 years and a half. Even those, right, would become due in this term of this administration. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
And that is why I said, and then of course there are a few that have grace periods of 48 months, which is 4 years, and a couple of them also of 3 months only, you know.
What?
A grace period of only 3 months. Sorry, not 3 months, 3 years.
Okay.
My bad, 3 years. Of 3 years. So those early loans that have those kind of grace periods, those we will have to start paying from this term of the PUP.
Yeah.
And so when I made the point in an earlier show, that one of the reasons we in the UDP, besides the fact that we are taxpayers and Belizeans, and we will have to foot the repayment just like the rest of all taxpayers, and everybody that taxpayers know with this kind of tax regime that we now have, which is a consumer-based tax regime, right? There was a time when they were mostly income tax, but the shift has now happened mostly to a regime that is based on consumption, right? So every time you go to the store, even the little baby that will go to the store go buy one sweet, they pay tax, right? So beside that fact, I was making the point that we in the UDP have to be particularly concerned because we saw what happened the last time when the grace period ran out for the PUP on the repayment of those massive loans that were borrowed like public purpose when it was really private purpose in most instances.
Right.
And projects that some of them even materialized, but the money spent, right? And then we ended up with that situation where they could not meet the payments when they began to be due, and so they end up have to restructure that. How we end up with the massive super bond when they amalgamated all those bad debts into one giant super bond, and then we had to inherit that. So the point I'm making, because they start defer payments, as you said, Alfonso, in a previous show, you don't see the pattern where they deferred about 10 loans from Taiwan just before the elections, right? So that when these payments begin to become due and they can't meet them, then they roll over and defer them. So to a period of time which will fall then into a UDP administration. So we have to be very, very, very concerned because now we will be strapped with repaying these loans, when they defer them.
And it will be a lot of them coming in. simultaneously.
Absolutely.
So they're like ratatata good.
And that was why, and
The
Delroy,
amount of bullets when they come at us.
and that was why we inherited a super bond.
That's right.
That's
Well,
how
Marcus
we
Marcus
inherited
about
a
the
super bond.
payments,
Because what happened with the super bond? We had to put a lot of different loan instruments together and
That's right.
consolidate them and bring it and pay one. And so,
When I say we, you mean the PUP.
well,
We because we are the country.
we the people. We the
Yep. Can I do it
people
for
have
we?
to pay. Because when you hear about debt refinance, you know, Johnny not take that out of pocket, or nobody take that out of pocket. That comes from the people. That we pay that.
That's right. So, Brother Mivit, you're on to something very important there, my brother. In fact, that is beginning to be the problem immediately into the second term of the PUP. That there is that massive national debt, most of it external, that we now have to start to deal with. And as I said, as they got into office, almost immediately, right after the first business meeting of the House, the borrowing started. And some of those loans were already beginning to run out of grace period. And so we will have to start paying them back. And that is why this government is in the bind it is. Mind you, we don't have no sympathy for them, you know.
No, sir.
We sorry for ourselves, we not sorry for them.
And
We not sympathize with them.
But we have to be lighting the fire under their feet, because the more they do, the more it is hurting us, taxpayers. The more
That's right.
liberties they take with the finances of the country, the more the Belizean people will have to pay.
Yes.
And we can't afford it. We don't know got nothing.
And Fonso
That's right.
and Delroy to add in, to make it a bit worse, you know. Remember the 125 million US. We were supposed to start spend 50 million out of that in this financial year 25-26. That is no longer there. So that $50 million they will have to come up with.
And if it is that these loans, Delroy, were yielding such great results for us, you wouldn't mind? You don't mind borrow and you put a little extension by your house and you say, boy, you can put your washing machine and turn or one wash house in your house. But when you got $154 million for a solar plant, and no one single ray of sunlight has been harvested to produce no electricity, and then this is in the face of a looming rise in electricity costs,
yes.
then that problem, that one thing where you spend $7 million for a piece of property there where they sign our shit pit, and not a single grain of sand has been moved to build a $90 million hospital.
We know
So
about
combined the 154 and the $90 million, help me, Joe. We are looking at $144 million that was borrowed that will become due very shortly, where we don't got nothing for show for. Nothing.
And that is what pains us so much about having to pay back PUP loans, you know. It is the onerous nature of the loans themselves. But the fact that you look and you don't see anything that you and the rest of the country are benefiting from these massive debts that we incur under the PUP. The repayments are painful enough.
But
The fact that you don't see anything from it.
Delroy, we got this big loan for $154 million for the solar plant. We got $90 million for the hospital. And then, you remember recently in Ghana, the house for get a loan for buy battery, for store power.
That's right. But, John Alfonso, some of those ones like the Saudi loans and so, those will become those will become due later. But I'm telling you.
No, but
that
not
because
later, Delroy. That then loan, the salary loan at 2023, you know? 2023, 24, 25, 26, then it done the next year, you know?
When we start pay.
The grace period at 3 years for the loan there, you know?
We are start pay.
Okay,
Nothing
okay.
start, nothing for sure for it.
Nothing.
But the bottom line is there are a ton load of them that will hit us during this term. And so what you're looking at right now is shades of the Musa Fonseca Briceño administration. No, it is the Briceño, Cowie, Amon Courtney, Cordell Hyde, Francis Fonseca, Henry Charles, list the rest of them administration that we are dealing with. And that is what is coming to hit us during this term. Right? There are some other issues on the burner, but I'll leave those for another time. Because I just thought that since Brother Mivit had raised this issue, that we need to put some perspective on it. And that is why Alfonso and Joe, Chris Cowie, was so reluctant to return in the second term of the Briceño administration.
Yep.
Because he knows exactly what he would have to come back to face, which by extension, all of us will have to face as a nation. And this is what is so troubling about this administration, as it always is about all PUP administrations. When they come in office, they spend money like money to go out of style, they borrow to no, and then we as a country are left holding the bag of whatever. And we in the United Democratic Party will have to deal with repaying those loans again, you know, Alfonso and Joe. That is what is so troubling about it and what is so unjust about it. Good morning, if you can have a good one after hearing all of that.
No, thanks, Delroy.
Hey, take care, buddy. Yeah.
It's out of order.
Yeah, man. But like we all know, Alfonso. If you borrow loan, if you borrow, and you're borrowing to improve the situation, improve life, to make life better, then people
By all means.
But if you borrow for pay salaries, if you have to beg for fix road, something has to be wrong. Something has to be wrong. And like we said the other day, that last week, that 125 million US dollars we were supposed to in this new financial year 25-26 start spend the first 50 million and the 50 for education and what else, power, no? Right? That $50 million is no longer there. So projects that you had planned to fund with that, either put the either that those projects are scrapped, or you to finance those projects you will have to find the money. You will find the money either by loan or by taxes. And even if you find it by loan, it will increase the foreign debt, it will increase the debt, and we have to pay,
No more, sir.
Because when you talk about one loan, there's nobody, none Taiwan, they pay loan for you, In fact, we want Taiwan, but we could kind of ask them for back it up, leave it, make we only pay interest. But there are other financial institutions where you get loans from, where you have to meet your debt servicing, and debt servicing comes from money generated through taxation. And so we can only see this administration, this next term of the People's United Party, it will be hard because they no plan.
Somebody clarified that $244 million. The loan from the Saudis, that 244, 154 and
90.
244 million. And then you add what, $7 million when they spend pana.
251. $251 million. So you ask yourself, where does $7 million come from when they buy the land? Because that definitely not come out of the Saudis' money for the hospital. And that are from what, 23 you say? Right? Anything happen yet? Anything happen yet? We got problem when in the dry season. We got one energy problem right now. No, if that solar energy plant was underway or completed, man, we don't got no energy problem. But this is the PUP, boy. This one be a rough time. This one rough for all. I had to tell you this and rough for me, my buddy. This will be rough. Extremely, extremely rough this next term. I'm just hoping that we will be able to come out of it, no? But it's one more day, boy, and the first month of the new financial year end. April is done. We're not gonna budget.
But the budget, not in the middle of March is start. Budget is ready in the first week of March. 2 weeks for debate. Like in the last week of March. So
We're supposed to make the budget for carry. That's the budget. That the plan for from the 1st of April to March 31st. 1st of April 2025 to March 31st 2026. We're in April.
and you know what we're not being told? That the tourism industry is underperforming, you know.
Yes.
The tourism industry, they go in. Somebody sent me one schedule for May the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ships for the whole month of May. For the whole month of May. You say BTB usually send out the figures, but this is how.
Oh yes, so much overnight, how much cruise ship, and it's increasing.
You know why they haven't sent it? You know why?
Because it's going down.
They do bad.
Yes, you remember.
They do very bad, not only bad.
You remember the minister responsible for tourism was on a show one day, and when they tell him about how the Americans the warning as to accountability.
How much watermelon you eat?
How much egg, how much slice of bacon. They had signed up all of that with that, you know.
It's a minute after 9. We take our last commercial break. We'll do that and we'll be right back.
Get ready for fantastic discounts. From now through to September 30th, Venice is having store-wide discounts on tools, paints, appliances, plumbing and electrical products, lights and fans, household items, and much, much more. Visit a Venice store near you to enjoy fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th. Only at Venice. Quality and savings. Get ready for fantastic discounts.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Iowa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Iowa has a wide range of exceptional Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Iowa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Iowa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Iowa, and for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Iowa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Iowa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
Your island escape is waiting. Book your stay at Bananas on the Beach and enjoy exclusive local specials this Easter. Call or WhatsApp us at 614-9857 or visit our website to book your stay today.
Evening, everybody. No one, no two, but three fanan, TV, and all the lights. Hey!
Small changes, like turning off lights and appliances when leaving the room, can make a big difference in your energy usage. Talk to your family about energy management today. Do a little, conserve a lot. Need help? The BEL 24/7 app has tools to get you on the right track. Download today and let's talk energy management.
Need to send payments to Belize? No long lines, no delays, no stress. With OneLink Mobile, sending payments to Belize is as easy as a tap. Convenient and secure. OneLink Mobile keeps you connected wherever you are. Send payments to Belize with just one link. Convenient and secure payments anytime, anywhere. Download our mobile app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. OneLink Mobile. Welcome to the future of payments.
Catus Construction, Aggregates and Trucking, Sand and Gravel, Premium Black Soil, Crushed Stones, Washed White Sand, River Stones, Concrete Mix and much more. Catus Construction, Aggregates and Trucking has everything. Visit us at our new branch located at mile 5.5 George Price Highway, right across from Old Belize. You can pick up any material or get it delivered straight to your door. We deliver by the truckload, the cubic yard, and even by the sack. Call 611-6600. That's 611-6600. Catus Construction, Aggregates and Trucking.
Looking for great deals on electronics? Then stop in at VIP Wireless at number 14 Orange Street, Belize City. We have Fire Stick, Roku, and Comcast devices starting at only $79.99. We also carry smart television sets at unbeatable prices. Looking for name brand cell phones? We have them all at incredible prices. We also have power banks, wireless speakers, headphones, and much, much more. Visit us 14 Orange Street in Belize City or call 227-1431. VIP Wireless, connecting you to the world through technology.
United Democrats.
Enhance your spaces with Beep Air Freshener aromas, crafted by inspiration drawn from around the Caribbean. The Beep Exotic Blends Air Freshener collection offers fresh, fruity, and floral fragrances, such as Flowers of Paradise, Mango Papaya, Pina Colada, Pink Lemonade Zing, Radiant Sunshine, and White Sand Beaches. Treat yourself to the revitalizing aromas of the Beep Exotic Blends Air Freshener collection. Beep, for a happy, healthy home. It starts with Beep. It starts with Beep.
The
bank, remember the loan? Oh man, it late.
No need. Heritage Bank have e-loans with special interest rates when you apply online. Residential mortgages, vehicle loans, and credit cards.
Yeah, but the bills, man, the bills, light, water, you know. Oh man.
Harry, you to be dramatic. You too old school, man. Come on now. With Heritage Bank, all of that could be done online. Any bill you could think about, you could pay online with Heritage Bank. That way you really want to go for though.
Oh, babe, the chap man they come today, and I need to go to the ATM to get some cash.
Why?
I show no cash no in that to the computer.
Go online today for quick and easy access to our application at your fingertips. You now have the convenience of applying for your loan from your desk or home. It's simply bringing banking to you. Some restrictions apply. Heritage Bank, the bank that gives you more.
Welcome back to Tuesday's edition of First Thing in the Morning, live from Studio 2 Wave 105.9, your most trusted name in information, education, and entertainment. Alfonso Noble, Joe Bradley. We're sitting in Studio 2, operating from the foothills of the Bell China Bridge right here in Belize City, Tuesday, the 29th day of April, 2025. Yep, and again, Alfonso, we want to remind our listeners, our viewers, we want to remind Belizeans of the United Democratic Party's press conference, which will be held at the Biltmore Plaza Hotel this morning at 10 a.m. It will be carried live on Wave and Wave Radio and the Guardian newspaper, right? And it will deal with present issues facing the country,
pressing
and pressing
and present, yeah.
Pressing present problems, issues facing the Belizean people and Belize. Yeah.
So,
like you said, a lot.
So I had my concerns and suspicions as well of how the government is operating in terms of the budget. I had gotten this document. I hadn't been able to open it until this morning when someone sent it to me again in a different format. Anyway, Ministry of Finance Circular Memorandum Number 3 of 2025. Then I have the references and what have you from the Financial Secretary, Ministry of Finance, to the Cabinet Secretary, Governor General, Solicitor General, and all of those people. And the subject, put it up in. Provisional budget by special warrant for period April to July 2025. So then go and carry this thing to July.
April to July.
They're going to carry this thing to July.
No volume on Digit TV. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it says, in accordance with Part 2, it's dated the 26th of March.
Okay.
2025. I say in accordance with Part 2, Section 4 of Finance and Audit Reform Act, FARA, issue of money before passing of Appropriation Act, funds have been appropriated by special warrant for the period April to July 2025 as per the attached schedules. Under the provisions of this section of the FARA, Finance and Audit Reform Act, the expenditure so authorized for any goods or service shall not exceed 1/3 of the amount voted for that good or service in the previous year. A copy of Section 4 of the FARA is attached to ease of reference. Therefore, scroll it up for me, Sam. The special warrant has been approved with the following exceptions and conditions. Only line items and activities, projects and discretionary that have been budgeted for in the current budget process have received an allocation. Where the provisional budget for any subhead exceeded the amounts budgeted in the current budget process, the budgeted figure was used. This will ensure that the provisional amount does not exceed the budgeted amount, which will take precedence once the budget is approved. Except the contributions and subscriptions vote under MOF to continue processing payments until these are decentralized in the upcoming budget. Please note that during this provisional period, no new spending can be undertaken in recurrent operations or capital project accounts. So how is it that the CEO's salaries were raised? Anyway, once the General Revenue Appropriation Act for 2025-2026 is approved, this provisional appropriation will be superseded. All withdrawals made under this warrant shall be deemed to have been made for the purpose of the new General Revenue Appropriation Act for financial year 2025-2026 when it is ultimately approved by the National Assembly. Finally, please be reminded that all financial rules and instructions, including the FARA, COPE, financial orders and circulars, and other acts and regulations and instructions from the Ministry of Finance remain in effect, and please be guided accordingly. Joseph Waite, Financial Secretary. So they're operating on warrants. On warrants. That's how they're operating the budget. But it says that you cannot undertake
additional expenses.
Additional expenses.
But they raise salaries.
But those are additional recurrent expenditures.
PUP, boy.
Yes. They're asking me, they wave, take it off from them, son. Wave radio, the television, and radio will be carrying the press conference live today. We will be doing it also on Facebook and
The Guardian.
and Wave Radio and TV and Facebook, and put it tell someone me for tell you put it on YouTube for me too. And when I go there, that 10 o'clock can start there. Yes, and then forward it to both Facebook and YouTube, please.
So it will be on all
our platforms.
Okay, Facebook, YouTube. So we're on YouTube now.
Yes.
Facebook, YouTube, The Guardian, and Wave Radio.
Right.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, and then
also Fonso sorry, and also on the Wave Radio Bliss up too. Okay.
Wave Radio Bliss up. They operate it. They were working on it.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So there's something official. There's something official which came out from the 29th of March. 26th of March. Why?
And that is how they have been operating. So
on warrants.
But it is of note that they have not authorized any new expenditure and any capital expenditure. Two things pop up to mind. How is it that recurrent expenditure has ballooned through the salaries for CEOs and the CAPSEC? How is that? How that happened? And secondly, how is it that the capital investment that is being done in on a coastal road, how can that be justified? Given financial secretary's instructions,
no additional,
saying that no capital investment and no new capital investment and no new recurrent expenditure should be taken on. How do you justify that? somebody is breaking the law.
Yep.
But nobody
Will enforce the law.
will enforce it. Nobody want tell you nothing. But no worry.
Yeah.
We want the right there to say it. If nothing else to say, I told you so.
Will they say that these approval, let me just look on its fun. So will they say that the approval for the cabinet secretary and the CEOs were done under the whole financial year? Because basically the cab secretary salary increase becomes effective.
But how could it have been done under the old financial year when our new government?
You see, but it leaves a lot of questions to be asked.
A lot of questions to be answered as well.
As an answer, yeah. But why a lot? No increase, but the cab sec get increase. The CEOs get
no new recurrent expenditure. No new capital expenditure. Their thing that I mentioned, the coastal road is capital expenditure, and it is new capital expenditure on an old project. The salaries for the CEOs is new recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure, for those people who don't know, are expenses that happen regularly on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. But these are expenses that happen. Say, for example, like electricity bill, like for telephone bill, like water bill, like salaries. Those were supposed to have remained as they were. You cannot have any new. And adding a salary increase to the CEOs is changing it, and in fact making it a new expenditure on the same line item, in this case wages. How can they do that? Because they can, because in a PUP and nobody could tell them nothing. That is why. That is why,
and
sir.
You see these warrants it's for the period up to July.
So what is that telling you?
April, May, June, 4 months.
What is that telling you?
It could quite be that the budget will not be ready in May.
So somebody text me and said, just heard from one of the councillors that you give the mayor a headache, prompting one of the councillors to ask for a meeting. This to be held this evening because things are in bad shape. Dan Grega.
Oh, Grega.
Things are in bad shape.
Things in a bad
Things
shape. Good
are
one.
as in bad shape as that tractor.
Yeah.
That tractor in a half, you know.
Well, I guess.
And they never did start, none at all.
And I guess they want the councillor want me to the mayor to find out whether they do about the two compactor truck. Whether they order, whether they do it. Me the mayor.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, hello.
Yes,
so
sir.
let me just turn off this TV. There's one thing else I wanted to say this morning, which was the original thing I wanted to say, but since Brother Myvick had called about the national debt, I just said I had to offer some additional perspective on that. But I was looking at the news last night, I don't know if you were, but there was Henry Charles on talking about the demand being made by the public officers and the teachers with respect to and the joint union negotiating team with respect to their demands for a salary increase of 8.5, particularly in the context of the fact that the government has just had its politically appointed CEOs give themselves a hefty raise. And I was listening to Henry Charles's response to that demand from the joint union negotiating team, specifically with regards to public officers. He was saying, oh, there is a comprehensive review that will have to be undertaken. But how come they never wait for that comprehensive review finish to make the CEOs give themselves that raise?
Because they don't need to comprehend nothing with that. They just need that the cronies need to eat.
They need the, yeah.
You don't need to understand nothing with that. There is no comprehension that's needed in that. The only thing that you need to understand is that they need to eat.
And they want to eat now.
Yep. So the comprehensive review has to happen in order for the teachers and the public officers to get their raise, but no comprehensive review needed to be undertaken or completed for the CEOs to give themselves a hefty raise. Can you imagine that?
No comprehension needed, sir. The only comprehension...
No even a budget need to be prepared.
Nope. And not only that, going in contravention to
the instruction,
financial secretary's instruction, as I just read, and that circular number 3 of 2025. They don't care, you know, Delroy.
No, man, they're not the boss.
They don't care, you know. Oh.
So when the teachers and the public officers need for their raise, they hear all kind of story, as dead and cold facts. They have to do a comprehensive, they have to complete a comprehensive review. But no comprehensive review needed to have been completed for the CEOs to give themselves a raise. Not even a budget had to be prepared. And so, as you said, Alfonso, what the joint union negotiating team is saying to them, no, man, the budget not even finished prepare yet. So put we in the budget, man.
Yeah.
Put we in the budget and make it. I think they should demand it up front, the 8.5, and ask for it to be retroactive, just like the CEO raise. Because the CEO raise retroactive to when Joe and Alfonso.
The retroactive to the 13th of March, the day after elections.
Yes, right. So let me just end on that this morning. As I know the unions, well, I think the teachers' union, they will be meeting tomorrow, no? And so we need to hear what they will be demanding, because indeed this is a time to go in a warrior mode, man. It's a time to go into warrior mode. Because the teachers have been waiting too long. There's a saying that says, beware of the weary. Good morning.
Yeah, buddy. Anyway, Joe, I need to head over to Biltmore because we're carrying this thing live. So I have to close it off right now. So excellent chicken at excellent prices. Check out Martin in and Michael Finnegan Market booth number 15. You got chicken for a plate, packet, and pan size. Special effects for vehicle parts 610 2011 610 2038. They deliver countrywide. Just send them a message and they will answer you promptly. And remember, if you want valuations done, get in touch with Cecil Jenkins. He can be reached at telephone 631 9220. 631 9220 for valuations. And then owners Belize. If you want buy land, if you want sell land, if you want find a land, get in touch with Owners Belize, or you can call Alan Kelly at 622-9090. And wild dog food. You want your dog happy? Give him wild dog food. The dog want happy and you want happy. Telma's Kitchen, open today and every day with excellent Belizean food. 207-0340.
You know what, so when will the garden build? Tomorrow? Because Thursday is a holiday.
In a bad space of time. Right?
Okay, so usual, like the garden, all right. Look out for the garden tomorrow evening, Wednesday.
Yeah,
all right? Yeah, man. And Bronx Beauty at the corner of Mahogany and Bopan Street. We'll get your gas in your gas tank. You'll take your money out of your pocket pocket for pay. And at Bronx, we are open 7 days a week. However, on Sundays, we don't do home deliveries. And then Chunks in Restaurant, you call 223-0709, you place your order. They tell you when to come pick it up. You go to 184 Corner North Front Street and Majestic Alley, officially Pink Sally. You could pick up and enjoy delicious Chinese food and treat your taste buds. Good food, good pizza, Mo's Pizza Grill, Mo's Pizza and Pasta at the Newtown Barracks, where you can enjoy that delicious homemade meat pie. Well, we want to say thanks to all those persons who call us. Again, we want to remind you that at 10 o'clock we'll be broadcasting the press conference, the UDP press conference, where we'll be dealing with urgent, pressing, important issues facing Belize and the Belizean public. Keep it locked on Wave 105.9, your most trusted name in information, education, and entertainment. Samba!